Okay, let's talk about the raid that's probably frustrating for a ton of people. There's some pretty simple mechanics. However, the mechanics vary, and that is where the fallacy will be in having the raid wipes happen. I'm going to show you some footage. I'm going to walk you through it very simply. By the end of the video, you understand the fight, or else you just didn't pay attention. So let's go. Okay, it starts quite simply, where you're going to be underwater, and you're not going to have a breath mechanic yet. You will have that in just a moment. You're going to be inside a suit, which will alter your abilities. All you really have to know is every ability is essentially a DPS move. However, the W move, that is the combo move, is the counterattack for the fight we'll talk about in a moment. You're going to go through a path, killing just some turtles and basically just being an underwater terrorist, and then you're going to fight the boss. Now, the boss is basically a tank and spank with one additional mechanic. He will summon an ad, which is a shark. You got to kill the shark first. That way you get a large DPS increase, and then you can kill the boss. The boss can, in fact, turn blue and charge people, which is where that W I talked about earlier can be used to counter him. Other than that, it's a tank and spank. You don't have to counter. It is not a wipe-based mechanic. However, you do need to kill the shark in order to get that attack buff. Plus, you can do some damage, yada, yada, yada. So kill the shark, get the DPS buff, turn around, kill the boss. It's pretty much that simple. See you on the real mechanic, which is boss number 2. The best way to explain this boss is just by showing you what's going to stop you from completing it. Every now and then he's going to do this gigantic AoE and then have a circle you have to be inside. If you're not inside that circle, you will die. You're going to notice I get oxygen directly after that circle. You know why I do that? Because if I go to get oxygen beforehand, I could potentially summon that circle that will save everybody all the way where I'm getting oxygen on the outside of the map. Why could I potentially do that? Because that ring that keeps everybody alive is summoned on one of your random allies. This is why you want to ball up, essentially keeping as close together as possible, so that way when it randomly appears, you are very close. If you go and get oxygen because you're like, well, I'm about a third, let me just get it now, and then it summons that ring all the way on the outside, your teammates can't get to that ring in time. Okay, so when does the ring actually appear? That ring starts in the first half of the boss. So before he gets to 10 bars and you cut off his legs, which is what's about to happen here in just a moment, he's going to randomly summon that AoE. I think it's actually at different time markers, but to be honest, I don't know the time markers off the top of my head. If you see there's yellow orbs that will spawn and red circles, don't stand in the yellow orbs. It would drain your oxygen, which means you're going to have to get the oxygen too soon. Now, there's one other mechanic you have to keep in mind during this whole thing. In both the first and second phase, he's going to have petrify, meaning it's a gaze that he stares at people and gives them a purple health bar below because they get petrified, and you have to attack them in order to make it where they can move again. They're stuck there stunned until you break the petrification. You can see this actually on my screen exactly right now, and we're pinging that. Because of this, if in the first phase, when that AoE wipe happens, if you're not clearing those priorities of the petrify first, then they can't get to the ring, which means they die. And this boss is actually, if you're doing this in matchmaking or with people around the right eye level for this, he's actually timed about right, where he will berserk if you do not DPS it down in time. And the way you don't DPS it down in time is by being greedy and trying to do DPS too much. So you either get wiped, or you wipe a few people because you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time, or you're not knocking people out of the petrify. The most important thing is to do the mechanics correctly and in the right priority, which will increase the DPS of the boss over time and making it where you can beat it before berserk. Now, very often what's going to happen after he gets his leg cut out is he's going to do this backwards dash where he's going to go backwards, and then after that he's going to start running forwards. When he runs forwards, after his legs have been cut off and that run forward dash thing he does, everyone in front of him is going to get frozen. So there he's backing up now. He's going to do the glaze. We're running out of the way because now he's going to gaze in front and see I got frozen because I'm a monkey. So that's basically how that works. Because I'm frozen, people had to go unfreeze me or unpetrify me by breaking me free so I could get inside of that orb in time not to die. Okay. If they were selfish and were just like, I need to go get inside of that, I would have been dead. We would have had less DPS overall on the team for the remainder of the fight, and he probably will go berserk before the bars are down. So that's the fight. That's how it works. And that's the priority by which you should focus. Other than that, I don't need to explain it because it's literally just don't stand in the middle of red circles, don't stand in yellow cones. He will attack in clockwise when he's doing the AoE round attacks, and you'll see him go in kind of a circle. During that time, every other one, you can stand in the middle of the red circles. So some of them will have actually in the middle where you can stand, etc. You're probably going to wipe a few times. That's fine. If you're learning this, don't panic. And remember, if people are staying alive for the most part, but you're not getting the DPS in time, it means people aren't focusing the priority of breaking people out of Petrify. So what's happening is people are getting petrified and you're losing their DPS because everyone's selfishly trying to DPS. So if you're berserking too much, that's what's happening. If people are dying too often, it's because they're not focusing on the mechanic of staying alive and running to the middle. If you are having the rings appear too far on the outside of the map, it's because people are getting oxygen at the wrong time. You should always get oxygen directly after that ring, because you can see here, it can be hard to get to the ring at the right time. Other than that, yep, that's pretty much the mechanics. Good luck fighting it. That wraps up the explanation. Keep in mind the oxygen, you get it with G. It's on the outside of the ring of the map. You're going to need to know this mechanic because further raids within this same tier level all use the oxygen mechanic. So you're going to need to get the hang of that. If you get hit by yellow stuff, it will drain your oxygen quickly. And so if you're suddenly getting random damage and you thought your oxygen was full, double check your oxygen. That can get you wiped too. But it's really about not being selfish in this boss and focusing on where your teammates are. And if you can get them out of Petrify, that's the key to victory. Thanks for watching this. If you like this and this channel, consider subscribing. If I earned it, see you on the next one.